All right, well, we're getting ready to wrap up here. There are a few additional, tools and strategies and resources I wanted to cover. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Obviously, the public messaging piece is something everybody talked about. It's very important. So, in reaching out to our internal MUTCD team, they offered some MUTCD compliant messaging that they utilize and recommended during the 2017 Eclipse. Um, just a little bit of background on changeable message signs. They can be an extremely effective tool to provide real-time traffic warnings, guidance information to the traveling public. But in order for a CMS or a changeable message sign to really be useful and effective, there's five areas that it really needs to meet. One is it needs to fulfill a need. Two, it needs to command attention. Three, it needs to convey a clear and simple meaning. And four is command respect from road users. And the last one is make sure you give people an adequate amount of time for the proper response. So on the first one, to fulfill a need, that's really just providing an actionable information, giving information to folks on what to expect. Commanding attention is, by the nature of displaying an illuminated sign on a highway and their placement, you can really take advantage to gain people's attention, particularly maybe when they're driving and you don't want them looking at their cell phones, or maybe they don't have access to the internet or some other reason. We need it to make sure it conveys a clear and simple meaning. So clear and simple messages, they avoid witticisms, colloquialisms, anything with popular culture references that only target a certain aspect of the traveling public, or you kind of have to understand the inside joke to really get what the message is trying to convey. We really don't want that. That actually can cause some issues. Commanding respect from the road users, that's really gained by continually putting valid, impactful information on a changeable message sign. So when you start putting messages that really aren't actionable or they're more unauthoritative tone, you can really lose your audience with your CMS approach. So try and consider that. And also the last point is using non-standard or unconventional syntax. It's kind of similar to the inside jokes or the popular culture references. That doesn't really give people enough time to understand the message, and not only that, but it can actually confuse them. And if that happens, then people might react unpredictably, or they might actually react in the opposite way that you want them to. So just a few things to consider. There's a couple of examples there. If you go to the next slide, we do have a point of contact that the MUTCD team has identified. That's Tony Whitfield. If you have any questions on maybe an example message that you're thinking about putting up, or just any questions you might have on messaging for something like a planned special event, feel free to reach out to her. There's also QR codes that'll take you exactly to the sections of the MUTCD that will give you a little bit of good guidance on what to do. But really, those examples, just keep it short, keep it clear, keep it simple. The arrive early, stay put, stay late, something like that, or post eclipse congestion expected, things like that. Just stuff that folks can at least understand. But I just wanted to provide that brief overview because I know the changeable message sign piece is very important with planned special events. Next slide, please. If you haven't already been able to tell, we have a whole bunch of resources, whether it be from internal resources like these, or we also have external, just a myriad of things that you can go to get more information. Hopefully you've seen that we've provided contact information throughout the entire presentations. That's an open invitation for anybody to reach out to us. Anybody on the team in FHWA, we're always open and willing to help. We get questions from the field or from state DOTs or local agencies all the time asking for, how would you react to this, or do you have any resources to provide on that? And the answer is always yes. So just a few. I'm not going to run through all these, but for those who are familiar with our capability maturity framework tool, almost every program area that is under my team, we all have capability maturity frameworks for road weather management, for work zone management, traffic incident management. We also have one for planned special events. So if you click on that link, or the link that Zach just provided in the chat, that'll take you to the CMF tool. You can do it very quickly on your desktop. It takes like 5 minutes to kind of get a brief overview of your levels of maturity. It's a really good way to grade where you think your agency is in preparing for planned special events. And if a need arises or you think that you could do better, we'll actually do in-person workshops for any of these program areas using the capability and maturity framework to kind of identify gaps that might exist in your agency and also provide next steps on how to improve those. We also have a lot of reports, managing travel for planned special events. I believe was mentioned by Lori earlier. We also have ITS for planned special events. The Pathfinder project was mentioned under the road weather management section. That's really the communication and collaboration piece with your National Weather Service partners and various other things. We actually did a webinar in April of 2022 going over NASA's overview of the eclipse, as well as Ohio DOT's really good pre-work on the eclipse. That was 2 years ago. So agencies have obviously been thinking about this, but again, it's never too late to get started. There's actions and planning activities you can do now or in the days ahead of the eclipse. So start thinking about those. Let's go to the next slide. The next slide will highlight available resources from external partners. Obviously, NOCO will be posting this webinar, but they also have a solar eclipse webpage. NASA, we heard from Dr. Korek. They're a great resource, as well as the AAS and the Great American Eclipse web pages have great maps and links to things like glasses and things like that. A little bit on our side, we will be doing an in-person solar eclipse peer exchange. It is by invitation only. For those who already know about it, you've already been invited. But that'll be taking place on March 6th in St. Louis. That's not to say that all of you who have been a part of the webinar can't participate. In particular, we're going to be building out a 2024 solar eclipse final report and case study. Those will probably be published in early 2025. But I think the next slide kind of speaks to, we really want to hear from you. Like those posters that Athena showed, any sort of pictures or strategies or information or data that you can provide. We would love to have it in our Eclipse final report. And we would obviously cite you as the ones who provided us that information. And it's a really good way to get visibility into your programs and some of the lessons learned. So think about reaching out to us if you have anything you'd like to share for us to put in the final report or the case study. Next slide, please. And I think that's it. So I appreciate all the 300 of you that have made it to the end. Thanks again for sticking on with us. I hope this was informational for you, and I hope you have some actions to take from this. And at the very least, some points of contact for you to reach out to. There's my contact information. If you have anything disruption related that you'd like to talk with me about or my team, always open to chat, and I can go to any meetings that you'd like me to speak to. Same with anybody on my team. We're all here to help, and we want everybody to stay safe out there. So thanks again. We appreciate your time, and if you have any questions or need any additional information, feel free to reach out. And with that, I will thank NOCO for hosting us. Thanks again for the ICF and Athey Creek team for helping me pull all this together. Thank you again to our speakers and for sharing your incredible expertise and experience. There's so much information that we can share with each other. So thank you for participating, and thanks to you all for attending. So with that, take care, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks.